Okay, um, so this is the next day. Part one is on my YouTube channel. Um, Essentially, where we got to was switching over our routing to be consumer based, so basically a push system rather than a pull system. Um, so we're working from an acceptance test mainly. So we'll run through it again. Essentially, the idea is that users join a room, um, and a room is just a string. And every time someone joins a room, we create a gen server to represent and hold its state. And then underneath each room server, there are two supervisors. One which manages users. So each user is going to get a gen server managing each user's individual stream and state. And then there's another supervisor called the cell supervisor, and that supervises the creation of a gen server which handles discrete areas of space. Um, so if you imagine like a 5 by 5 meter square in sort of a 3D environment, that would be managed by a cell, and so the cell process is responsible for aggregating the audio streams, and yeah, otherwise when we reach larger numbers of users, we essentially don't want um, to have to do all the processing for each individual user. Um, so essentially the way that this test runs is we start the main server, and this um, it's called Voluma, and that is the server that creates rooms. We request find or create room, and we get a room PID, process ID, and then we send that PID to the room server and get some information about the room, and that's where we can find the cells and membership PIDs as well. We create a user struct and we add it to the room, and when a user is added to the room, we get a membership back. That's another struct as well. And we just make sure that that user doesn't have anyone consuming their audio stream when they first join, because they're the first person in the room. And not only that, they haven't set a position yet. So once you set a position, then you can start streaming, and then later on a second user can join, and they go through the same process, and they set their position to the same position. So that means both users are going to be in the same cell, and in that case they just subscribe to each other. Um, so we can look here and see that the cell has two memberships once both users join it. And from here, I think what we want to do is we want to assert that each membership has the other as a consumer. So when a user sends some audio to their membership server, it knows to send it on to the other user. So as I said, that this subscriptions was the original implementation, but I ran into a little bit of trouble when routing audio and stuff. So I'm sort of rebuilding it with a push. Okay. So I can see who else is in my cell, and my membership now includes the other users membership as a consumer. Is that really what I want to assert? Yeah, I think so. So consumers. So that's going to be equal to the membership server get consumers. And send it my membership PID. Okay, so our membership server is going to delete some of this stuff. Okay, so our membership server does not implement get consumers, and that's fine. Just implement as you can see, this is not the actual implementation. Right, so this is the public API. This is not run by the server itself. This is in fact run by the process doing the calling, which is a weird thing to get your head around at first. But then once you have a handler, this handler, oh, right, we've already got consumers there, don't we? So we don't need get. Say call it get, yeah, consumers. I'll delete this one. I don't know if get is idiomatic of Elixir. Still getting my head around the language and ecosystem. Okay, so in my test on line 36, I was using that. Right. So we're going to assume that the consumer consumers is going to be equal to a list where the other membership PID is present, is the only item. Right, and it's missing because we have implemented that method, that function, as sort of a stub. It's just returning an empty list all the time. So now this was interesting when I did it originally. So I was having, whenever you set your position, we were calculating subscriptions. But that should no longer be required. So when you set a position, I suppose you set your you update your consumers. I think that would work. So let's update the membership model and remove subscriptions. This is going to cause some failures, I think. Nope. Okay. So choose. Okay, so your new consumers is going to be equal to probably just consumers is equal to calculate consumers. And what information do you need? Well, let's not worry about that. Let's just implement it as a stub here. Calculate consumers. I always forget to put the do, thinking it's Ruby. So def p for a private function, and we'll just return an empty list. I might call them arrays as well, but they're not, they're lists. Old habits die hard. Okay. I might make this a little bit bigger, this text. So I can imagine it might be a little bit hard to read. I mean, I am streaming in HD, so I think it should be okay. HD. Sorry, I'm just checking my stream. Yep, I think it should be fine. Okay. The latency is what? 10 seconds or so? Okay. So in order to calculate our consumers, we're definitely going to need our cell PID. So for now, the most rudimentary implementation of this we can do is simply consume the streams of everyone in the cell that's not us. And later we will add neighboring cells. So I'm pretty sure we've implemented in the cell server the ability to get memberships. So what we're going to do is the first stage is we're going to get our memberships by querying the cell server, get memberships, I might do this as a pipe. Okay, so we pipe the cell PID into the cell server. We're going to get a list of memberships, and we're going to enum.filter according to the function membership. So we want user ID we're going to say where membership, might do a shorthand here, so user ID not equal to user ID. Okay, so now we've got a list of memberships. We've filtered out the ones that match our user ID. I think we just return them. Oops. Right, so now we just need to update the calling function. I'm going to get return our membership dot user ID. Bear with me for a second. Oops. Okay. Okay, let's focus. I realize my problem here. ID is a property of the user, and okay. Oh. It's annoying. This is happening asynchronously, so it's actually going to look like this because the OK in the tuple breaks that pipe. Okay. Interesting. So if we just log that out, see if we're getting what I expect we are. Okay. So we're getting we got a map set. Interesting. So I wonder if map set has a different interface. No, I could just convert it um, to list. So if I piped it through map set dot to list, we can always refactor this later. Nope. Map set to list. Okay. Ah. Okay, so in reality, I've just updated. So we've got the memberships here, and we've filtered out the ones that are not us. But then we need to get the PID. So we map over it and get the memberships PID. Oops. So if we inspect the head, why is that still a map set? I don't get it. Let's have a look. So the cell server, get memberships. Just returning. Okay, plus the memberships. Do I have Apex installed? Apex is like a pretty printer. Oh yeah, we do. What is the Apex? Feel free to comment or ask any questions. I'm happy to go into anything. I'm not an expert yet, but I'm trying to learn. But yeah, apex.ap. So if we memberships, it should get nope. we need to inspect it. Okay. It's got a map set. That's fine. That's what I expected. I don't think we need to. Let me just do that. Oops. Why do we still have a map set? I'm specifically. Oh God, I'm silly. Call them other memberships and other memberships. Okay, now we should see something. A list somewhere. No. Interesting. So if we map over each one and inspect, blur, what happened there? So once we have the membership, we simply return the user ID, right? One user.id. And at that point we can actually just filter, move that up and change that. So we now extract all the user IDs. Ah no, we can't do that. We're not interested in the user ID, we're actually interested in the PID. Okay, is it going to work? No. Let's just make sure we're getting it, the user ID. Element of P. So let's have a look. Calculate consumers. Maybe I think I've got a disconnect from the test. So I'm not asserting that my membership is updated. So after you set position, okay, so we assume that after you set position, you should receive the new consumers. So if we go back to our acceptance test, when the second user sets his position to the same cell, we should assert that the membership to consumers to not be empty, I suppose. To in fact equal the membership 1 PID. So I guess this is correct. So we now need a way to update the first users, consumers, when another user enters the cell. So whenever a user enters the cell, we need to add that user to their list of consumers. That's why this is failing. So let's have a look. So we add membership here. So after we add membership, we create a new map set with the new membership, and we update the state and pass the new memberships. So at this stage, what we really want to do is enum.map so we're going to map over the state memberships that are already existing, and then for each one we're going to need to update their consumers, or add consumer, I suppose. So if we map over the memberships, we just grab each PID, so we call .PID on each one. So now we've got a map of PIDs. If we pipe those PIDs into a membership server, add consumer, and we now add this PID. So basically we're going to get all the memberships of the cell, and we're going to condense or select just the PIDs of those servers, those membership servers, and for each of those we're going to request that they add the new member as a consumer. I think that makes sense. Might comment this. Add new membership as a consumer of all current cell members. That's what we're doing there. Okay. Right. So now what it's gonna get angry at us because we don't have an add consumer method on our membership server. So add consumer with a PID and a membership, say other PID. So we're going to wrap this in a tuple. Add consumer. Oops. Cool. Now we just need to add a handler. Def. I'll just copy this. Add consumer. Other PID. So new state is equal to the state, but the consumers is going to be the other PID added to the head of the old consumers, I believe. And then we return the new state, and ooh, so I'm just checking. Interesting. So the add membership call failed. Add consumer with 2 arguments is undefined. So that's actually what we're looking at here. Oh, membership adds consumer. Add consumer PID, other PID. Don't need that anymore. Hmm. Membership server add consumer is undefined. Oh, membership server is not available. Where are we calling that? From the cell server. Okay, so the cell hasn't needed to contact any membership servers up until now. So it's failing. So we need to import the alias the membership server so that we can reference it. Okay, so now no. Okay, so this is what I thought was happening before. So it looks like the PID, what I'm doing is I'm piping the whole list to the membership server instead of doing it the other way around. So it's this one here. So when we add a membership, instead of piping the entire map, what we want to do is enum.map. So we do it like that. I think anonymous function syntax is a little clearer here. Other PID, other PID, and oops. Okay. Interesting. So I think what I might need to do is just add some logs to ensure that what I think is happening is actually happening. I think it's reasonable to log when a user starts subscribing to another. So we can say membership at inspect self, adding new consumer at inspect other PID. Now the reason I put inspect here is it forces everything. So in Ruby, everything has a toS method, but in Elixir you have this thing called string.chars, which is what's called a protocol. So you can see I have defined the implementation of string.chars for this particular struct, and I've implemented this method, and so now I can use this object without having to put inspect in front of it. But for sort of core objects, core types of the language, implementing this feels wrong. I mean, so especially PIDs, process IDs and things, I don't, I just inspect them. So self is a function that returns the current process ID. So basically I'm saying like whenever we receive a request to add a new consumer to this server, I'm just going to log and say like, hey, I'm now adding my PID, I'm adding this other PID as a consumer, and saying, well, from now on, if I'm receiving a stream of audio, I'm going to pipe it through to that PID as well. So later down the line, it's not just going to be other membership servers that receive those streams. It's actually going to be cells, and then the cells are going to be responsible for delegating the audio streams to their individual users. So just going to ACK for that user ID and remove it. I know that there's a proper like debugging system in Elixir, but I just wanted to get up and running, and I will investigate it some other time. So just logs everywhere. Hmm. Okay, so still failing, but now we can see somewhere here. Membership at 219, adding new consumer at 222. So it seems like that's correct. I'm a little bit confused now. Oh, it's supposed to be indented like that, I think. So what else can I assert here at line 61? Masking who's consuming PID. The other users membership now includes my membership server. So now if I pipe membership, second membership, and I should get that one. Interesting. Let's have a look. Membership server. So get consumers. Oh. So the state dot consumers. Bang. Look at that. Right. So I can collapse this down because this is a very simple call. Alright, so I'm liking where this is going. So it feels like, oh, we can get rid of get subscriptions. Subscriptions aren't a thing anymore. So let's just get rid of all this. Short. Okay, so let's go back to our test. Okay. So my membership server is going to send dummy audio outgoing. I'm going to sleep for 10 milliseconds. Say, so 44 hertz divided by 10 milliseconds. Oh, that's the other way around. 440. Okay. Right. So if we sleep for 10 milliseconds, I think that's more than enough for Elixir to do its thing. In fact, I think we'll probably do 5. Screw it, let's push the envelope. 1. Okay. So we send outgoing audio, we sleep for a millisecond, and then we should get back holy shit. How did that even work? What? Oh, I'm not making an assertion, that's why. Okay, so it's empty. That's what we expect. Okay, I don't think that if you request incoming audio, I don't think we need to worry about specifying a length. I think you always just want all of it, and then we'll have a buffer length. Okay. Alright, let's try this. So, what happens when a membership receives outgoing? So we handle, is it a cast? No, it's a call. Just wondering what I should call this. So outgoing and incoming, maybe incoming should be called get buffer. Get. Yeah, let's just name it that. Okay, so when we send an outgoing stream, what we do is for each of the state consumers, enum.map, we are going to membership server dot incoming with the first argument. I think this is once again going to look a little bit better. As an anonymous function like this. So consumer PID, just give it a better name than ing ampersand. Okay, so we're going to map over the consumers, and for each consumer is it's a PID. So we then use that PID to contact their server, and we're going to send them our state.user.id as a key, like a map key, because it's going to... I think that makes sense. Yeah, I think that makes sense. Okay, so we're going to send it the... I might just pipe that so it's... So it's like a key, and then the stream is the value. So for every consumer, we're basically just sending them a stream. And then we implement incoming, and it's actually going to be the stream ID and a stream. Stream ID and a stream. And let's handle incoming once again. Stream ID and stream. Okay. So this is actually going to be a cast. Because we don't really care about a reply. There's nothing I can do with a reply. I don't think. No one cares. So convert this to a cast. So in Elixir, a call is a blocking synchronous call where the sender waits for a response from the other server before proceeding. A cast is sort of like casting out and not really caring about it, and that allows you to asynchronously do things. So in Elixir, the most performant way to do things is using casts. The reason why I'm not, I can always refactor this later actually. The reason why you would prefer a call is simply for error handling. So I'm just going to, I'll leave it as a call for now, and then later when I want to increase performance, then I would switch them over to cast. Okay, so the error that we're getting here is membership incoming 3 is not defined. PID PID stream ID stream call incoming stream. Membership server incoming is undefined. Membership server is not available. This gets me every single time. I love it that my own module is not available. Okay. Does that work? Voluma membership incoming is undefined. module, right? Yeah, that is correct. Okay. So we've got an error in our test, which is fine. So we just updated the signature of that call. So we're going to change incoming. So outgoing and incoming are going to be internode terms. And I think instead of asking for incoming, we're just going to say get gets listen. No, that doesn't really work, does it? Receive audio, request audio. Might come up with a better name later. Okay, so your response is going to be a stereo stream. Request audio doesn't exist. What a surprise. So membership server, let's go up to our public API and request audio with a PID. And I definitely need to add documentation and stuff to these calls. So it's definitely going to be a call, and we're going to just request audio with no arguments. Okay, no handler, what we expect. So let's go down here and handle a call with request audio, and we don't really care about that, we don't really care about that. And to do cool. Now the next step is response is going to be a stereo stream, and we're going to return that as the response, not this whole state. Cool. So it's empty, but what we expect is that when you get incoming, we're going to return the stream, which is kind of pointless, but it will be a cast eventually. Just turn nil, no one cares. And now the new state is going to be equal to the old state, but with the buffer so the buffer is going to be a hash. I don't think it was originally a list, but I think I need it to be a hash, because what we're going to do is we're going to map over the values So each individual user that you are consuming can just push to their own individual buffer. So every user has sort of a buffer for each user that they're consuming, and then the idea, I think, is we don't want to have a peer-to-peer conference stream because for large numbers of users, and especially in large MMOs or 3D environments, you don't want 100 audio streams for 100 players. That's just not scalable. So we need a way to be able to combine streams on demand based on their orientation to the current player, your user. So if we go into the model, a membership has a buffer, but it should be a map and not a list. And nothing is relying on that attribute just now, so that's fine. And so the new, it should be buffers hash, buffers. Yeah, it's multiple buffers, isn't it? It's a dictionary of buffers. So the new buffers is going to be equal to the old buffers. And this is, I think, the way to do it. It's going to be like put in state the map access is always sort of there's sort of a shorthand, and I'm trying to remember. So this kernel put in. Huh. Put in. So I think new buffer equals state dot buffers dot. So I've got to fetch the value from the map, but it doesn't have to be there, right? So just get map key default. Get an update. I don't understand. It's called the current value or nil if the key is not present. It must return. Interesting. I think that's what I want. Get an update. So the new buffer is going to be equal to state.buffers piping to get an update. And the key that I'm interested in is the stream ID. And the previous buffer I don't really care. The new value is going to be list. I'm going to cast the nil that I received to list. List.wrap, does that do what I want? Yes. So it's going to be list.wrap, the previous buffer, whether it exists or not, so that ensures we always have a list. And that's going to be the head. List.wrap. Can I add items to it? And then list. So I think, let's bring IEX out. So I have, if I get a list.wrap of nil and use it as the head of a, and then, oh, it's plus plus, that's right, plus plus, and then a 1, 2, 3. Yes, that's right. Where am I? Okay, so basically the new value is going to be list.wrap, the previous buffer, and the new stream. And we're going to update the state by put in state buffers. Oh, we don't even need to do that. I think this way looks better if we just say state merge buffers new buffers. .44. Oops, missed a curly brace there. Cool. So it's still failing, but that's fine. Basically what we've done is whenever a user sends, it's now getting received and getting inserted into the receiving user's membership server, in a dictionary where the sender is the key and the stream of audio is the value. And now what we need to implement yeah, that's thanks, Zachary. That might be better. Yeah. As I said, I'm still new to Elixir. Okay, so I want to update the map, the stream ID, and the function, and I want to return, instead of the tuple, I want to return that. Content is undefined, private. Key. I guess it's because the stream is going to be the default. Okay, let's just look up the documentation on this. So update map key initial. Initial is inserted. The initial value will not be passed through the update function. Nice, that's exactly what I wanted. Thank you very much. I'm just gonna, thanks dude. Probably saved me 10 minutes of debugging there. Cool. Alright, so now when we're, let's go back to the acceptance test. Request audio. So when we request audio, we're going to handle that call down here, and I added the to-do, didn't I? So let's just inspect my state buffers and make sure that I get what I expect. XYZ, nice. So I guess what we do here is our response. Let's just say the mono stream is equal to map dot values of state I believe that's correct. And then we want to enum sum. No. So we're going to have a list of lists, and then a list of lists, and we want to zip them, maybe, but zip them with a function, a custom, so it's like a reduce. So I think we zip them, then pass them to an enumerator. So grab the, let's just pipe this, state dot buffers. We pipe it to map.values. Grr. Then we pipe that to list.zip. And then we pipe that to enum.reduce. Screw it. I'm just going to do enum.sum for now. No, that's not going to work. What does that look like? So then L is equal to the mono stream and R is equal to the mono stream. Oh, we're getting tuples now. Grr. I'd really like those to be lists, not tuples. Why would you? Does enum.zip do something different perhaps? They're always tuples. I suppose I could get I could iterate by over the length of the longest buffer, possibly. Yeah. It's not really a enum split. No. Okay. I think my dumb, naive approach makes sense. Maybe. So we want max length to equal buffers piped into enum.values or map.values piped to kernel length. And then we get think it's max. Yeah, and pipe that to max. Oh, yeah, I don't know. I just saw your things about the maps. I can refresh maybe. Yeah, sorry man. I don't know what happened to your other chats. So I actually need to map the length, I believe, and then get the max. Does max take an arbitrary? Must do. An arbitrary number of arguments? No. Enum.max I think is what I need. I remember back in the day, like when you did PHP arrays where they said the duct tape of the world, or like in Elixir I feel like enum is the duct tape of the world, and so it should be, I suppose. But max, yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah, there you go. You've got it. Whoops, what did I do? Close that. Okay, so the max length is there. So for I'm feeling 0 to max length. 2. This feels dirty, but if there's any other way, I'll just try and figure it out later. Because I'm gonna rebuild this in stereo later. So if we grab the state buffers values, and then we map them, and then we simply, it's list at, I believe, if I remember rightly. Or just use array access. Okay, so for each position, we go across all the values and we map them to get each vertical slice. So this is actually, what would you call it? Vertical slice. What's the word for that? I don't know. Okay. Um, so, um, so it's like the audio at that instant across all of the consumers. Enum with index. Enum with index. I'm not sure that's what I'm trying to do. So basically we're going to have like, I mean, I am making this way more complicated until I have a test that tests it. I think what I'm trying to do is I imagine that each key in that buffers dictionary is going to be like a different audio source, and then we need to take each item of those individual buffers and combine each individual item. I'm very sleepy, so I am struggling to get my head around it at the moment, but I mean I can yeah. So the thing is that the reason why I want to do it like this um, is that uh, people might be streaming at different rates. So these items might be empty, and we sort of just want to take it one instance of time. And if a user, if one user has 2 seconds of audio in the buffer, and another user only has 1 second, well, we're just going to combine them together into 2 seconds. Okay, so I'm trying to remember the list. I Yeah, I'm just thinking about it because what I kind of want to do is just work on just the head of each list. In a loop or something. Yeah, so I'm going to need to use recursion in Elixir, I think, to do this, if I'm not wrong. So like the mono stream is equal to get. Okay, so we got the streams are equal to the enum values of state buffers. So the mono stream is equal to get head instant of all streams of them, and then the mono stream of oh man, this is doing my head in. Okay, so so we need like of each stream state dot so we pipe it through and get the values, and then we map over it and we get an individual stream. So we get that's the let's just focus on getting the first instant of the stream. So the stream head is equal to dot map the stream head. That's how I'm going to do it. And the stream tail. If you search for Elixir, I'm trying to. Okay, so Zachary has said if I search for Elixir transpose list, I might. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's exactly what I want to do. Yeah, that was what I was thinking. I was looking for the documentation of tuple, and I assumed that there was a toList function, but I didn't see it anywhere. Okay. Yeah, I like this implementation better. Makes more sense to me, even though it's not the highest rated one. Oops. I will refactor this later, but oops. Okay. It's not necessary anymore. It's not necessary anymore. Okay, so let's think of let's start over again. I just comment this because I haven't committed it. So the instance is equal to the state buffers piped through enum values, piped through transpose, piped through enum.sum. Oh, and that's not even instant, that's just the monostream, I believe. Ah, map.values. What am I thinking? Okay. I think I'm close. And then, well, enum sum, but we'll reduce with suppose 0 in a function iter accumulate. Oh, enum.map. Instant. Instant. Write it like this. Enum.sum. Is that right? Bang! Look at that. Cheers, Zachary. I wish there was not so much delay, because I'm not seeing your comments for way too long. Okay, so that's cool. So I feel like this reads very well. Wonder if I can break it up a little bit. So I can call that instance, and then mono stream is equal to the instance summed. I think that makes more sense. Okay. And I might just break this out into a private function. We combined this. Alright, that looks like a commit. Okay, let's have a look. Oh, before we commit, let's do some credo. Oops. I know for a fact that this should be an anonymous function. That one as well. I don't know, so far I'm liking Elixir a lot. It's feels like, I don't know, I like the asynchronous intercommunication of cells, servers. I think that if the more asynchronous I can get this, the faster it'll be. Might be pretty cool. There's always, I feel like there's always a really nice, concise way to write something. You just got to either find it or wait for Zachary in comments to tell you. But yeah, I mean, I remember another one of my Elixir sort of projects. I got my first, implementation acceptance tests passing, and then I sat down and refactored it, and I think I removed like 4/5 of the code, and just was able to boil it down into like its functional kernel. It was brilliant. It was so zen. So yeah, zen. Elixir makes you feel zen. That's the moral of the story. Okay, so I'm wondering with this core, whether it's time to sort of add the sort of Phoenix sort of front end, start getting some WebSockets and actual microphones hooked up, or whether I should focus on the underlying system a little bit more. I think I can at the very least get the cell subscriptions working. Oh wait, I was going to commit, wasn't I? So mix credo. And there should be no unused return values. I think I just need to change that to a map. Membership server 7. Sorry, not map. enum.each, which, yeah, enum.each, and in the cell server, line 48, map enum.each. Cool. So we have no glaring issues. I don't know where no file number 52. I don't know where that's coming from. Supposedly I have something that I'm not wrapping. Oh, it was an anonymous function, wasn't it? Was it? It's almost certainly in the membership server because that's where all the crazy stuff's been happening. that one's okay. Those are okay. Those are okay as well. I hope it doesn't expect me to... Okay, let's do a dash dash strict and oops, and see if there's anything else. There will be lots. Just tidy up. Oh, alphabetic ordering. Screw that. Cannot be bothered. I mean, yeah, I'm during my day job is a DevOps engineer. Oh, Credo, your coworker wrote Credo. So a guy in the comments has just said that his coworker wrote this alphabetical ordering check. And while what I was about to say is I'm a DevOps engineer during the day, and on my very large projects with lots of developers and lots of churn, I will totally advocate this rule. But for me, um, maybe when I make this open source, we will order everything, but there's just too much change, and I'm not going to fuss around with the alphabetical stuff at this size, this project size. Cool. Well, I'm pretty happy with that. So that's passing our acceptance test. I'm still missing some unit tests here and there, but um, so audio streams combined for each consumer. Okay, so I'm actually pretty happy with that branch now. So I think the whole conversion from a pull-based system to a push has made a lot of sense. So let's just go over that and get into master. Haven't set up a CI system or anything for this just yet. I'm pretty happy with that. It's quite a big PR, to be fair. So I don't know if Zachary or if anyone's watching whether this pattern is a good one. It sort of feels a little bit heavy-handed, but it might be correct. I'm not familiar with the OTP way of sort of just creating a room, or sorry, creating a server, and if it already exists, just swallowing it and moving on. Seems like an Elixir Erlang thing to do. It's just swallow the error and just move on with your life. But still, there might be a better way to do that. Wow, yeah, this was a big, yeah. Cool, I'm happy with that. Oh yeah, that was my supervision tree, I believe. So Where is it? Yeah, it's this. So in my supervisor, I have a dynamic supervisor. So for instance, if a user comes along and they want to enter the room at position 2, I try and create a gen server for 2, which is this ID, so it's just a string representation of the coordinate. I use that to create a child with the ID there, and if it already exists, I simply add the user to the already existing one, and then I return it. And the same thing happens for the room. So I think the room server is probably a little bit different. So this could probably be a room supervisor. So I guess oh yeah, this is. Yeah, so the main module is also a dynamic supervisor. So you have a dynamic supervisor creating rooms, and then the rooms have two dynamic supervisors. One creates the gen servers for the cells, and one creates the gen servers for the users. And then we basically create links between them all, and then the audio streams through. That's sort of the thing I'm going for. But we'll see. So the next thing, I suppose I can have a whole different acceptance test, because this seems like a pretty complete feature, right? Just two people joining the room at the exact same position. Can they hear each other? Yes. So if they can hear each other, that's cool. Now we have to figure out if people are a significant distance away, they're not going to subscribe directly to each other. They're going to subscribe to each other via their cell, so that we can aggregate large numbers of users discreetly. So I might just copy this, and this is a transmitting across cells test. Okay. Okay. Transmitting across cells. Start. Let's cut all the preamble and say I start a room with two users. In different cells. Maybe not yet. Start a room with two users. You can see I probably could refactor that test, the previous test as well, like this, because it probably makes more sense. So user 1, user 2, ABC, XYZ. Okay, so we've got, I might separate the man, Mac keyboards are so clicky, aren't they? I start with two users. So I don't need to make these assertions because we've already got them in the other. Okay, so I might need to finish my stream. I think my girlfriend's getting back soon. Hey, thanks for your help, Zachary. If you've got a GitHub profile or a blog or anything that I can follow and send some of the love back your way, let me know. But yeah, thanks for your help. So we start a room with 2 users. And so we add them both to the same room. And then the next stage is each user sets their position relatively far apart. That should be position 2. Looks like I have an error somewhere. Oh, I need to update my test name. So this is a transmitting across cells test. Oops, that's an attribute. I think they're called attributes in Elixir. Cool. So we now have 2 users with positions apart from each other. Maybe one acceptance test we need to write is having users moving about. I will do this for now. Okay. Start a room with 2 users. Each user sets their position relatively far apart. Each user is each user's membership server is subscribed to the it has the each user's membership server has the other's cell server as a consumer, right? So I think, yeah, what we did is we said consumers get consumers I think actually I just want to just need to request my membership again because we don't know and we don't really know when these will update. So I think we've got to pull up membership 1 equals membership server.get membership 1.pid. Okay, and we assert, oh, I'm going to do the same thing for membership 2, place with 2. So we assert that membership 1's consumers is equal to a list which contains membership 2 2.room.cellpid and vice versa. Okay, cellpid. Cellpid. Right. Okay. So I think this is going to be a little bit more involved than what we had before. So whenever we set position, I find this a little annoying that the method name is technically this. I bet there's a macro in Elixir that makes it a little bit better. So whenever we set the position, we ensure that the cell exists. Okay, I think I know what this is going to be. So it's going to be consumers is equal to calculate membership consumers like that, and then we go down and we calculate membership consumers here, right? And then we're going to def p calculate cell consumers given a cell pid, a position, no, actually I don't think we just need the cells supervisor pid, and the position. Right, and we are always just going to logger.warm. Okay, so our tests should fail at the same place. Yep. And so what we want to do here is say that let's calculate consumers plus plus calculate cell consumers. We give it the cells PID and the position. Right, and that should now, oops, what happened there? Something's gone wrong. Undefined function calculates cell consumers. I thought that was there. Calculate cell consumers. What have I done wrong? Calculate cell consumers. Calculate membership. Well, cells PID does not exist. Fine. Undefined function membership server 60. Oh, we don't have a cells PID. We do have a membership dot room dot cells PID. Do have one of those. Nice. Interesting. I might just split these up. Just to be nice and precise. We can probably cut them down later as well. Okay, what did I do wrong? Whoops. Okay, so now we just need to work out the cell. So the cells supervisor has a calculate subscriptions, which we're not using anymore. But actually, I think we just change this to consumers. 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 And this becomes cells supervisor dot calculate consumers. We give it the cells PID and the position. Calculate consumers. Do we need the membership? I don't know if we do actually. No, we don't anymore. Okay, so that's going to be an OK and consumers. Screw it. Ah, okay. Now we just return the consumers. Failed. Calculate consumers. What? Subscribe distance. Let's turn that up to 4. Up to 5. No, there should be only 4 parts, so something's going wrong. Starting cell. Maybe I've got this round the wrong way. Okay, let's maybe look at some of these warnings. They might transmitting across cells. Okay. Membership service test. Unused alias membership. Okay. Dummy order. Unused alias. I don't think any of these. Variable PID. It's never used. Okay, so it does look. Wondering if I'm doing something wrong. So the cells supervisor, calculate consumers, we give it a cells PID and a position. Cells supervisor. So we get the PID and the position, we pipe it, child PIDs, and we filter child. Logger.debug. So we'll do it in anonymous functions and just say filtering child cell for position at distance position dot. I don't know. Okay, so let's have a look. True, false. True, false. Okay. Seems to be working. Maybe I should have looked up the chain a bit more. So debug sell consumers equal to consumers. Sell consumers. Yeah. So we're returning consumers from here. Okay. Oh. It's interesting. Calculate consumers. I don't know if that happens asynchronously or not. That seems to be working. So logger debug received expect consumers for position right, got consumers back. Received sell consumers. I don't get it. So New state, new state. Maybe I've just got an issue with my test. Mod test. Okay, so is it 36? No, 37. I wonder if this is a race condition. I don't get this at all. How is one person subscribed and the other not? I know this is dirty, but just want to sanity check myself. I don't understand that at all. So the first one seems to work. Well, the second one works. I wonder if I need to set my position a second time, if that works. Timeout. Did I create some sort of... I wonder. Okay. Because the cell doesn't exist yet, does it? Huh. Is it easier to just create a cell server before anyone's in there? It's going to use a lot of memory for no reason. Does that mean whenever we create a new cell we need to loop over each? Or what if I think we need to store the cell consumers in the cell state. We can't just assume it so it becomes part of the application state. I think that's the only way to do it. Like, well, the only sane way to do it. Okay. Well, that's one for another day. We're close. Very close. It's been 2.5 hours. I think that's a pretty decent... We've achieved something pretty decent here. Thanks again to Zachary. Don't know. Zachary Daniel, who helped out in chat, and I hope if you find this on YouTube, it is some use to you. I've sort of just thought, look, if I'm working on an open source project, I may as well stream it, create a resource. Of course, there's a little bit of self-promotion. I want to got my blog, which I'll show you now. So, yep. You can find me at devbrett.com. I'm situated in London. I do lots of stuff